Well, hello, heroes. I am driving here to jury duty, which should be a pretty interesting experience. But I wanted to make a video about another step on the journey of being less fat. And in year one, after about 25 weeks or so of just calorie counting, meaning, learning to consume less, moving more and more nutrition, I then started to do intermittent fasting. And that's what I want to talk to you about this week. This is year 2, week 8. Well, I was not chosen for either drunk driving trials, I think is what it would be called. So yeah, trial by jury, so yeah, I guess that's what it would be. But I wasn't picked. The prosecutor wanted me, but the defense attorney on the first case didn't want me. He excused me. It's like being not picked on the sports team again when you're back like in high school, grade school. And then I just wasn't even just picked to actually be talked to for the second trial or second case, I guess. So, but yeah, I came for my summons and I made my $12, but they didn't need me or didn't want me. So what I am going to do this week here is I am going to vlog and talk about intermittent fasting, because it is noon right now as I'm driving home from the Justice Center, and I have not eaten since 8 o'clock last night. And so it's been now 16 hours since I've eaten, and I can feel it somewhat in my belly. How I normally feel it is I just feel like the grumbling, the gurgling in my stomach, because I'm sure my body is then getting going, but there's really nothing there to get going with. And so that's one of the interesting things about intermittent fasting that I've been doing now for over a half of a year, is I can really feel and tell now when I'm hungry. Not appetite, but when I'm actually hungry, when my digestive system is telling me that I'm hungry. And so I'll vlog more about that during the week, because if you've never done intermittent fasting before, then it can be a little alarming and a little challenging as to what your body is telling you, not what your mind is telling you, but what your body is telling you as you start to learn what intermittent fasting is really all about and what it feels like. So again, what we're trying to get to with intermittent fasting is really not only just not eating for an interval and getting all of those processes going, but we're also trying to learn, instead of thinking about appetite, we're trying to feel about our hunger. So I will see you on the next time that I'm gonna talk about intermittent fasting, when it really is something that might be of interest to you, because right now, since I've been doing it, I could go for a while here. I haven't really told you what I've had this morning. All I had this morning was a large cup of water, a large glass of water, because when you wake up, you're fairly dehydrated, so you probably need to drink just some basic fluids. And then I had a black cup of coffee. And so that's basically what it is when you fast, is you really want to have probably just water, black tea, or black coffee. And I've read that some people actually also eat some salt. I'm not sure if they put it in their water or what, but I don't do that. So when I'm fasting, when I'm fasting, basically it's just water, black coffee, or black tea. So, okay, I will see you the next time I have something important to tell you about intermittent fasting. So I'm home now, and I've been fasting for now almost 19 hours, since it just took me time to get home from the Justice Center, where I was doing jury duty, where it wasn't picked, all that kind of stuff. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what I do to break my fast or have breakfast. So interesting, right? Breaking fast or breakfast. What I do and what seems to work for me, and I'm sure there's a whole bunch of other people on YouTube that talk about maybe why, but it just has been a good practice for me, is to have fairly high protein, low carb, I'll call it breakfast, but of breaking my fast. So for like I talked earlier a few weeks ago about with my cholesterol level being where it's at, that I'm trying to eat more omega-3 fatty acid, fish, vegetables, nuts, that type of stuff. And so I'm gonna break my fast here with some herring or kipper snacks that I buy from Walmart, and then 2 hard-boiled eggs. And the eggs look really weird because we found these ones at the grocery store Lidl, which they're like, I guess, hard-boiled in beet juiced, so they're actually pretty sweet. And the other ones, the orange ones, the Uncle Mike ones, those are actually, I think, hard-boiled in some type of like buffalo sauce, so they're kind of spicy like buffalo sauce. So, but what I do to break my fast or to have breakfast is I eat high protein, is what I do. Seems to work for me. Not really sure why it works for me, but it just works for me. So, so eggs, bacon, sausage, those types of things is usually what I have for breakfast, which is usually breakfast, though, is then, usually sometimes around, noon, because I go somewhere around anywhere between 14 to 16 to maybe 18 hours or something like that between eating. So, yep, that's what I do to fast for intermittent fasting, and then to break my fast once I've fasted. And that's what I do pretty much every day. I don't eat the same food every day, but that's what I do pretty much every day. I fast every day from 12, 14, 16, 18 hours, then high protein, low carb to break the fast, and then I stop eating about 8 o'clock at night. So I think that's typical of what intermittent fasting is all about. So, yep, so I do intermittent fasting. I will see you next time when I have something to tell you about intermittent fasting. Bye. So if you're gonna try fasting, one of the things that's the hardest about fasting, and just a second here, I'm going through some slippery spots here on the trail, but one of the hardest things about fasting is, well, fasting. The whole thing about not eating for a certain amount of time, or just a significant amount of time, whether that's 12 hours, 14 hours, 16 hours, 18 hours, whatever it is. But the hardest part about fasting is not shoveling food in your mouth. And for me, when I started getting into fasting, and I had to, I guess you almost say, break through almost 49 years of behavior with eating and why I was shoveling food into my mouth and so on. And so going back to week 1 of this year with the mindful exercise, when you try fasting, you need to become more aware of why you are eating. And for me, using the mindful exercise with fasting, what I became aware of was that I was shoveling food in my mouth
mostly when I was just bored, when I needed like something to do. And that's why I've come out here while I'm walking here on this cold morning in South Carolina to talk to you about this is one of the main things that I do, is that if I become bored, I just need to do something. One of the things that I do is hashtag move more. So I go take a walk. But as you try fasting, and fasting is super easy, it's just not eating, right? But that's hard because your behavior, and like I said, for me, that's 49 years almost of behavior of how it comes to how I learned, how I then practiced, and why and when and everything that I would eat food. And it's mainly when I'm just bored. It's like I feel like I need something to do, whether that's, you know, watching TV or playing on the computer or playing on the Xbox or sitting in the hotel room if I'm traveling. I just need something to do. And so if you try fasting, become aware of your thinking and your emotions of why you have decided to eat, because with fasting you really start to understand that difference between hunger and appetite. And I'm still working on not bullshitting myself and really becoming more mindful and understanding why I shovel food in my mouth. And so, you know, one of the things that I do that is also a tactic in this strategy is that I try to eat bulky food. So yeah, I eat a lot of salmon, which is not really that bulky, but I eat a lot of roasted Brussels sprouts and broccoli and cauliflower and steak and nuts and all this kind of stuff, because I just want to stay satiated or feel full longer. And again, feel is the key word there, because in my head I can then be, oh, for some reason I need to eat, I need to shovel food in my mouth. And typically that is when I am just bored. So hashtag move more. Instead of being bored, go take a walk, do something, because in my experience, doing something different than shoveling food in your mouth will make a big difference, because that's probably, at least in my experience, why I was eating, because I just needed something to do. And I know that sounds crazy, but if you think about it, you become more mindful, you'll probably see that's what's also going on with you. So try fasting, try it for a week, right? There will be some barriers and some challenges to do that, because you've got years and years of how you think and how you behave around food. And so I'm backtracking now, so now I gotta go through all the slippery stuff again. But think about that, all right? So I will see you next time.
We are here.